Hello learners. In previous lecture, we covered two types of ratio analysis. In this lecture, we will be covering third type of ratio analysis, that is solvency ratios. The term solvency refers to the ability of a business to meet its long-term obligations, that is debenture holders, financial institutions providing medium and long-term loans, and other creditors selling goods on credit. These ratios specify firm's ability to meet the fixed interest and its cost and repayment schedules related with its long-term borrowings. Important solvency ratios are debt equity ratio, debt to capital employed ratio, proprietary ratio, total assets to debt ratio, and interest coverage ratio. Let's talk about debt equity ratio. This ratio is also known as external to internal equity ratio. It measures the relationship between long-term debt and equity. Normally, it is considered to be safe if debt equity ratio is 2:1. However, it may vary from industry to industry. Now, debt equity ratio is equal to total long-term debt upon shareholders' funds. Next type of solvency ratio is debt to capital employed ratio. Debt to capital employed ratio refers to the ratio of long-term debt to the total of external and internal funds. Low ratio provides security to lenders and high ratio helps management in trading on equity. And the next type is proprietary ratio. Proprietary ratio expresses relationship between proprietors' funds and net assets. This ratio is used to determine the financial stability of concern in general. So, proprietary ratio is equal to shareholders' fund upon total assets. Now, what is shareholders' fund? Shareholders' fund is equal to preference share capital plus equity share capital plus all reserves and surplus. And what is total assets? Total assets includes tangible assets plus all non-tangible assets plus current assets or all assets including goodwill. Moving on to the next solvency ratio, which is total asset to debt ratio. This ratio measures the extent of the coverage of long-term debts by assets. This ratio is expressed as follows. Total assets to debt ratio is equal to total assets divided by long-term debts. And the last one is interest coverage ratio, which is also known as ICR. This ratio is a measure of security of interest payable on long-term debts. It reveals the number of times interest on long-term debts is covered by the profits available for interest. So, interest coverage ratio is equal to net profit before interest and tax divided by interest on long-term debts. Thank you.